Yo, what's good? What's good? I am back. Yours truly, the one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett podcast. You know how I do. This is episode 114. Apparently, I had some audio issues when I recorded 114 last time, so I'm going to have to redo with some of the same topics, and I'm going to add in an extra little topic and whatnot. Don't forget this podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz. If you need online marketing promotions for your music, your product, your brand, or your service, please check out promopalace.biz. You see it scrolling down below. Also, if you're a dog lover, a cat lover, and you like t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts with dogs and cats on, please check out New Litter Apparel at newlitter.com. That's NEWLITTER.com. You see it scrolling down there below me right now. And last but not least, for Shizzle, do you dizzle? I dizzle. Check out dizzlebrand.com. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and more. I actually run the Facebook and the TikTok for Dizzle Brand. There's a dozen recipes on the website that you can check out that you can mix your dizzle with. And there's online order links as well. Okay. Don't forget that the video version of this podcast goes to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, and now we're uploading to Rumble. So as you see, follow us on Rumble and whatnot. And the audio version goes to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, TuneIn, Slacker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and much more. So just Google Paul Pickett Podcast, and you'll see dozens and dozens of links. We just did a press release for episode 100, and we got a nice little analytics back from that. A lot of views came from that. All right. Before I get started with any topics, let me pull up the NBA scores last night. Actually, hold up. That's today's. Philadelphia beat New York Knicks, which I'm gonna come back to that. Phoenix Suns lost to Utah, and I did say that Phoenix would start losing games without Chris Paul, and they've lost two straight, which is gonna probably move them down in Paul's power picks, which I'll give here in a second. Indiana beat Boston. Indiana's been a pretty decent squad, man. Tyrese Halliburton has been balling out ever since he got to Indiana because he's probably upset. Detroit beat Charlotte, which we should have not lost to no damn Detroit Pistons. Clippers barely beat Houston Rockets by a point. We barely lost by a point. Still, though, it shouldn't even been that close. Dallas beat Golden State, which is Luka. Denver beat Portland. They should have. New Orleans Pelicans beat the Lakers. And the Pelicans are a hell of a lot better now that they got CJ McCollum to go with Brandon Ingram right now. You know, Josh Hart was good, but he can't score like no CJ McCollum. And I think that's the last game. Yeah, let me pull up this. What was that other game? No. All right, this Philly, and I want to talk about this real quick. That's gonna be my first topic. Harden and Embiid, man. Harden, they said they was right, man. Harden wasn't gonna have no hamstring problem once he got to Philly. He apparently doesn't lost weight. Apparently Harden is, maybe Harden is throwing on a fat suit. Maybe he is throwing on a fat suit and looking a little bit bigger under those jerseys because he does look quicker, thinner, and doesn't look like he's having any hamstring problems. I mean, their starting lineup is legit. Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid, Matisse Thybulle, and Tobias Harris. I mean, you got defense, offense. What more do you? You got 21 points out of Tyrese Maxey last night, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, with 0 turnovers. James Harden had 29 points, 3 turnovers, but he had 5 steals to make up for those 3 turnovers. 16 assists and 10 rebounds. Triple-double second game with Philly. Joel Embiid put up a 37-piece wing dinner with 2 turnovers. That's just it. That's all. 4 blocks. and it's still 3 assists and 9 rebounds. Matisse Thybulle, the third best defensive wingman in the league, pretty much gave you 8 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, and 6 rebounds. And he's not a scorer anyways. The 3 steals is what you're going for, and the 6 rebounds, and the fact he shuts people down. 12 points, only 2 turnovers, 1 block, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds to Tobias Harris. I mean, that's the thing. Tobias Harris is literally your 4th leading scorer now. They can look on the move at him after this season, even if they win a championship, because Tyrese Maxey is clearly the 3rd best scorer behind James Harden and Joel Embiid. And, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. I mean, I'll tell you this much, which is my next topic. Ben Simmons is scared to play against the Sixers. This idea that Ben Simmons has back issues. Ben Simmons ain't got back issues any more than I got back issues. This guy been out the whole season, man, ain't even playing, and all of a sudden he got back issues. Stop it. He's scared to play against the Sixers, and everybody should be scared to play against the Sixers right now based on what they're doing between Maxey, James Harden, and Embiid. I'm with the Sixers fans on this. Sixers fans don't believe that Ben Simmons has a mental health issue. They believe he's a coward and he's scared to face those fans. And being a coward is not a mental health issue. I repeat, being a coward is not a mental health issue. You know how I can tell you? Because most of the world are cowards. There's a bunch of cowards in this world, man. Over half the world is a bunch of cowards, man. So are we saying over half the world has a mental health issue? No. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying half the world's cowards, and Ben Simmons is one of those. You know, yeah, of course he's scared to play against the Sixers. He's a coward. He doesn't have a mental health issue. He's a liar. Rich Paul is a liar. Clutch Sports is a liar. And teams, I guarantee there's plenty of teams in the NBA that know Ben Simmons was lying and know that Clutch Sports was lying, and not going to trust Clutch Sports doing business going forward. And it's definitely going to probably, the collective bargain agreement is going next time that comes up. You guarantee the owners are going to get contracts in their favor because they're going to have the James Harden and Ben Simmons stipulation when you can't be trading one quitter for another, you know. And all due respect, James Harden went and started balling right away as soon as he got the Sixers, even though he quit on Brooklyn. And I'm with him quitting on Brooklyn because screw that. Kyrie, they should have never let Kyrie Irving come back part-time in the first place. I'm not going to be working full-time while this guy's working part-time and making more money than me. You talking about equality in the workplace? Oh, man, I don't want to hear Kyrie Irving talking about equality in the workplace or talking about white privilege ever coming out of his mouth when he's got more privilege than damn near anybody in America because he's making millions of dollars to work part-time and nobody else on the planet is making millions of dollars to work part-time. What other job can you go and work part-time and get as paid as much as the full-time workers? Only Kyrie Irving. That's privilege. You know? And I hope everything crumbles for the Brooklyn Nets. Because you set a bad precedent and a bad standard that somebody can work part-time and just make more than full-time workers. There's guys on the bench working full-time making less than Kyrie Irving. And he's working part-time. He shouldn't be making more than nobody, man, that's working full-time. I don't care how much of a good basketball player is. That is not equality in the workplace whatsoever. What do we got going on here? We got notification like crazy, man. Oh, got a text. Texting my guy about Snooty Wild. And rest in peace to Snooty Wild. First time I seen this guy, we went to South by Southwest, and everywhere you went was a Snooty Wild poster. Every venue, every wall, everywhere you went was a Snooty Wild poster, man. Rest in peace to Snooty Wild. But that's how the hip hop game goes, man. These rappers, I hate to say it, these rappers bring this on themselves, man, because they glorify lifestyles that shouldn't be glorified. You know, they out here. Once you become a rapper, You're no longer a street dude. You're no longer a gangster, a thug. You're a celebrity. You're famous now. But these dudes be still thinking they're gangsters and thugs while they being celebrities. There's no such thing, man. You're either going to be a gangster or thug and a real drug dealer, or you're going to be a celebrity. You can't be both. All right, let me get into these Kirk Cousins trade rumors. I ain't going to talk too much about this. It definitely has got to be bogus. It don't make no sense. Kirk Cousins doesn't do much for the Carolina Panthers. He doesn't get care. I know what Carolina Panthers might be thinking if they go after Kirk Cousins. Matt Ryan's the only one left in the division for us to beat. I don't know if Kirk Cousins get you past Matt Ryan in the division. I mean, the division is should be up for grab for the Falcons to take next year. Being Matt Ryan should be the best quarterback, and they just drafted a good tight end. They still got Calvin Ridley. We'll see how that goes, because the Saints ain't got Sean Payton no more, and the Saints without Sean Payton are never going to probably be the same team that they ever were. I've seen the Saints plummeting. I mean, plummeting. They're just going to plummet. And the Buccaneers, they can actually play. They can find probably a good enough quarterback to come in and get him as far as Tom Brady got him last year. Even though Tom Brady could have gotten further had Antonio Brown doesn't, do his jackass moves that he always does, and if Chris Godley doesn't get hurt. And let me do my pause power picks real quick for the NBA. I forgot to do my pause power picks. The Suns used to be number one. They lost 2 straight without Chris Paul. I knew they was going to go down. But number one, pause power picks. I'm going Miami Heat. Right now, I'm going Miami Heat. Number 2, I'm going Chicago Bulls. Number 3, I'm going to Philadelphia 76ers. And number 4, I'm going to Golden State Warriors. And number 5, I'm going to Phoenix Suns. That's my top 5 for Paul's Power Picks on the Paul Pickett Podcast, Triple P. Let me get into one more topic, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the biggest sport event right now with Russia and Ukraine. I want to talk about this Kim Potter sentencing. First and foremost, I want to say I do agree that she should have been found guilty. You can't make a mistake of shooting an unarmed man, and you can't make the mistake of pulling a gun instead of a taser. But I have to throw this out there too. This whole situation could have been avoided, and her mistake could have been avoided and not made had somebody else not made a mistake. And that's running from the police. I don't care. I don't want to hear about race, white, black, Hispanic, purple, green, orange, blue, yellow. It's common sense and common knowledge. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. There's enough evidence, and we all have enough knowledge and evidence once you reach a certain age that running from the cops never, ever ends well. It's 99.9% of the time that running from the cops never, ever ends well. So there's that. I mean, that's common sense, common knowledge. There's the fact that only guilty people run. People that are not guilty of nothing don't run from the police. They have no reason to. And even if you weren't guilty, as soon as you run, you sure as hell look guilty. That is common sense, common knowledge. As soon as you run from the police, you look guilty. Why is that? Because a non-guilty man ain't got no reason to run from the police. Only guilty people run from the police. People that are guilty of things are the only people running from the police. This idea that people are running from the police because police are killing people is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Running from the police is part of the actions that lead up to these things happening sometimes. Resisting and running from the police. Only guilty people resist. Only guilty people run from the police. I mean, that's common knowledge. It is common knowledge that if you run from the police, it is never going to end well. This should be another thing that's another common knowledge. One bad decision can lead to other bad decisions. Bad decisions just lead to more bad decisions. Bad decisions don't lead to good decisions. This should all be common knowledge and common sense. And if it's not, then can't help you there. I can't help you there if you don't know that it's common knowledge and common sense that probably screw 90%, 99%, 100% of the time if you run from the cops, it's not going to end well. It's common knowledge if you run from the cops, you're guilty of something or you look guilty of something. That's common knowledge. And if the guy that Kid Potter shot would have just let himself be cuffed and handcuffed and thrown in a car, and his name is Dante Wright. Excuse me for forgetting his name. I had to Google it real quick. Dante Wright would have just let them cuff him. Dante Wright would still be alive, and Kim Potter wouldn't have made the mistake she made. And I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna get into my take on like female cops, because I ain't gonna lie, I have an issue with female cops. I just don't know why, because most of the time, most of the criminals that they have to apprehend, 90% of the time are men, and just we know based on biology, men are just so much stronger than females. And I just think a woman cop would just have a harder time wrestling a suspect to the ground by herself. That's not even really just opinion. It's pretty much facts that most women would have a harder time wrestling a offender down to the ground by themselves. Most of the time, they're going to need a partner with them, which that's not how this always works. Sometimes you're always alone, and, if you always have to call for backup, then you should never be a cop as far as I'm concerned. I repeat, if you always have to call for backup, you should never, if your cop could never just deal with the situations by yourself, yeah, if they get too out of hand, you call for backup. But if you're a cop that always calls for backup, and that's the thing, there's probably a lot of cops that always call for backup, but this totally could have been avoided. Dante Wright made a bad decision, and it led to her bad decision. Because bad decisions lead to more bad decisions. That's all they do, And before I get off this subject, this is the last thing I want to say. There's a lot of people saying that she should have got a harsher sentence. Well, if that's the case, right? I mean, she's the first-time offender of anything illegal, any kind of crime. If that's the case, then every single first-time offender should get harsher sentence. You have to carry that energy with a first-time shoplifter, a first-time kidnapper, a first-time rapist, a first-time armed robber, a first-time B&E, first-time you caught selling drugs, first-time child molesters. And if a first-time, you get in a car wreck and you kill somebody, your sentence should be worse. If we're gonna say a first-time offender of manslaughter, accidental death should get a way more severe punishment. And I know what you're trying to say. They're cops. They got to be held to a higher standard. Well, that's not how the law works. Because the law works the same. It's supposed to work the same for everybody. We can't, if we're going to pick and choose who the law works for. I know people say, yes, the law doesn't work the same for black people as it does white people. I know for the Jesse Smollett case, that went the way it was supposed to. The Maud Arbery case went the way it was supposed to. This Dante Wright case, she was found guilty. She should have been found guilty. That went the way it was supposed to. But if you're going to say that she should have had more severe punishment, then a first-time cold-blooded murderer should never get a second chance. I repeat, if Kim Potter should get more of a severe punishment, a first-time offender and cold-blooded murder should never, ever get a second chance. It's cold-blooded murder. There's no justifying it, period. I don't care what you say. Cold-blooded murderers don't deserve second chances in my book. Cold-blooded murderers, I don't care what would happen to them. Electric chair, you could drown them, hang them. I don't care, man. Cold-blooded murder does not deserve a second chance in my book. Only a person who kills in self-defense deserves it. And if you kill in self-defense, you definitely don't deserve to go to jail. And even manslaughter, if you're drinking and driving and you kill somebody in an accidental car wreck, yes, you deserve a second chance. I've been hit by a car before crossing the road, and I mean, not that I forgive the lady that hit me because she didn't come up to see if I was okay at all. But if she was ever get locked up or anything because of it, I would have said she deserved a second chance. She definitely deserved a second chance. All right, I'm gonna get into this last topic of the day. This last topic of the day. I don't really know everything about international foreign relationships and stuff like that. But I've read enough history about conquerors and war, and I know when I originally did this podcast, it didn't record the audio right. So when I was a little nervous then. Now that I'm starting to look at things, I don't know if I'm as nervous or less nervous. This is why. No, well, I don't know if I'm less nervous because Ukraine seems to be Russia seems to have trouble doing what they wanted to do, accomplish in a certain period of time. Ukraine is definitely pushing back, which I said to Ukraine people, they had to step up and defend. It's their land. It's their country. They had to step up and defend, and they had to fight. We shouldn't have to always come to the rescue for every single buddy. It's not like none of these countries are really ever coming to the rescue for us, So there's that, And then I don't know if I'm a little more nervous because now that Putin ain't really getting the job done like he thought he was. And I don't know if the numbers are right, but 5,000 Russian soldiers killed and all these tanks and all these things that Ukraine's done blown up. It looks like, even though Russia's pushing in, it kind of looks like Ukraine is winning the war. Because now Putin's he's threatening nukes. And my thing is, oh man, that's when I really start getting nervous then. Because if this guy is bold enough to just nuke the country right next to him, he'll nuke anybody. And is that what he's going to do when it gets to the point where he feel like he's losing the war? He's just going to nuke Ukraine. I mean, this is crazy. Um, I feel sorry for Ukraine people. Plus, I'm also proud of them. Um, I mean, the sanctions definitely seem like they've done some effect of, like, because I seen they said that they were like a lot of Russian armored vehicles are running out of gas on just the side of the road, so we knew that it was going to affect the gas and stuff, sanctions and stuff like that. Um, I don't know when Putin, if he's willing to just like quit and go back home, or because if he can't, I don't know, man. It's like no turning back at this point. I mean, because he can't really give in now. Because if he gives in now, then um, America have them right where they want them. I know that much. I mean, you talking about sanctions then, sanctions now, and there's a lot of the sanctions that we could be putting on them that we're not putting on them. So we're being a little too damn soft because that's another thing. We got weak leadership, and I have to ask myself, if we didn't have weak leadership right now, would this be happening? I mean, if we didn't look so weak coming out of Afghanistan, you know, which if I'm not mistaken is a country that Russia has tried to invade many, many times before. It did succeed themselves. We look weak right now. It's the weakest leadership I've ever seen in my lifetime of living. And that's 42 years. I would be scared shitless right now if something happened to Biden and Kamala Harris took over because I would think somebody would invade us tomorrow. She's definitely out of her league with any kind of this. I probably could do a better damn job than she could of easing tensions, you know, because they're just way out of their league. They're all they've done is point fingers, poke the bear, and play the blame game. Man, that's not how you negotiate terms. You don't just point fingers and play the blame game, you know, and poke the bear and just make it worse. And a lot of people I seen Hillary was trying to blame Trump. You can't blame Trump. This started when Obama was in office, which his vice president was Biden, if I'm not mistaken. Huh? Who was his vice president? Who? Sleepy Joe? Yeah, we look weak right now. Not surprised Russia did what they did. And also, it's not like we fail to realize the history of this whole thing. Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union. And they took a lot of nukes with them, weapons, and I think Putin, you know, to me, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I think this is like a portfolio grab for Putin. I mean, you take over Ukraine, you got the nukes, you got the weapons, you got more soldiers, your economy, you can attach their economy to yours. I mean, it seems like it benefits Russia in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. I could think about 3 or 4 or 5 ways it probably benefits Russia. So it's not like, you know, you can't understand like motivations behind this. You know, their nukes used to be part of Soviet Unions. Putin's probably saying, "Hey, we want them back. You know, we want the Soviet Union. We want to get back together like like the Beatles. We want to get the band get back together again. Get back together like New Kids on the Block or something. Who knows? Whoever knows? There's been war since the world has been overpopulated. Man has been conquering man since beginning of times. Genghis Khan conquered more land than anybody. It's not like Russia didn't try to invade, I think, Poland, if I'm not mistaken. I think they invaded one side of Poland while Germany invaded the other. They were actually, you know, enemies with Germany. Sometimes some people just see opportunities to just take advantage of things that they want to take advantages of. And I wouldn't be surprised if China goes after Taiwan during all this, because China is definitely cool with what Russia's doing. They have no problem. And that's why we're fools to think that China's any more our friends than they are with Russia. China and Russia are a hell of a lot closer than America and China. I know that much, Definitely know that much. It'll take a rocket scientist to figure out that China and Russia is a hell of a lot closer than China and US. China only uses us for our economy and that's it. They're not buddy. They don't care about us. And because all due respect, Russia's communist, China's communist, and we're democracy. We should expect that China should be our best friends or our best buddies when we're democracy and they're communists. Now, if we were communists, yeah, we probably should be best buds with them. But, China, Cuba, Russia, Venezuela, probably North to South Korea, those are the countries that are more close and buddy and whatnot. And that's another thing. What do you expect when we're trying to force democracy in the backyard of a communist? Because that's what NATO is. NATO is just trying to force democracy in the backyard of a communist. If we had communists forcing themselves in our backyard, what were we doing? What were we doing when communists were all in South America? We were going crazy. And when we found out the narcos were working with communists, we went batshit. So we can't be hypocrites about this. But that's America for you. We're hypocrites. Bunch of hypocrites, man. Not like we don't do the same things to people that they do to us. But we just gotta be the big bad wolf, the sheriff of Nottingham. We gotta have a military base in every country, in every backyard. We gotta bring democracy everywhere. Spy on everybody. None of that's ever gonna change. We're gonna be spying on each other forever. One country trying to come up and surpass the other. Every little advantage that we can against each other. And you got people running around here with this delusional mindset of world peace, which is completely an illusion. World peace is completely an illusion. It's not even a realistic ask. It's like racism. Racism is never going to go nowhere. You can't force people to love everybody in this world. People are always going to hate something or somebody. And there's a million different reasons people can hate whatever they want to hate or who they want to hate. So many different reasons you can conjure up. This idea that hatred, racism, war, that these things can just... Y'all watching too many movies. Y'all watching that movie Equilibrium too much with Christian Bale and Taye Diggs. That's the problem. Y'all been watching too many movies, too many little futuristic, sci-fi, science fiction movies, where everybody takes a shot in their neck and nobody has no emotions whatsoever. So you can't love or hate. Because that's the thing. There can't be love without hate. Y'all don't even understand the balance. Y'all just want everybody to just love each other. There's no balance then. And that could be the most catastrophic thing that ever happens probably for society. Everybody loves each other. There's no balance. Everything has to have a balance. Good versus evil. Love versus hate. There's no light without dark. It's a balance, man. It's a balance. But y'all want to just take away the balance. Y'all think everything could just be one-sided in society. No, there isn't just one side. There isn't just one opinion and one view. There's thousands of them. Thousands of views and opinions. There's just only one truth. One truth. Thousands of opinions. Y'all want everything to be one-sided. Y'all want to just everybody just love each other. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. There's plenty of people I will never love. I will never love a hypocrite. Will never love child molesters, rapists. I will never love cold-blooded murderers. I will never love people who commit armed robberies all the time on people. I will never love these kind of people that you expect everybody in the world to just love. No, because they're not all. That's another thing. In order for these things to happen, in order for there to be like this world peace and everybody just love everybody, everybody has to follow the same rules. All the same exact rules. All of them. Once anybody doesn't follow a rule no more, it automatically breaks everything. It's also like people that want equality in the workplace. Is everybody in the workplace following the same rules? No, they're not. There's people that call into work way more than others, calling sick all the time. There's people that slack on the job way more than others. There's people that steal on the job. There's some people that do what their boss asks of them, and there's other people that don't. Guess what? That's not following the same rules. Y'all live in this fairy tale, made up, imaginary world, man. In the real world, everybody doesn't follow by the same rules. If they did, then we wouldn't have prisons, and we wouldn't have criminals, and we wouldn't need law and order. And we only need law and orders because y'all ain't gonna settle with every man for thyself. Because there's no civilian justice when there's no law and order. There's just every man for thyself. Like I said, if y'all want to get rid of all the cops, that's fine. Just don't say shit to me every time I go to the grocery store. I have a 12-gauge shotgun and both of my shotgun belts around me because I'll need them just in case one of these criminals out here, when there's no law and order, thinks they're going to roll up on me and just take my groceries or take my money or take everything from me. Because when there's no law and order, it's just the wild, wild west. Like when the cowboy days back in the days first started, because that's what it be. That's what law and order looks like, people. But it's not so much let's go out in the street and let's stand across each other. Let's pull our first person pulls the gun, dies. First person pulls the gun and hits the next man, dies. That's not nowadays. What it looks like is you don't just go out in the street. There's just no law and order. They just pull the gun and they blow your brains out the back of your head. That's what it look. That's like it would be like it'd be the Wild Wild West 10.0. No law and order nowadays. They wouldn't be civil about it and like, let's go out in the streets. And they didn't even do it like that all the time. That's just for the movies. But the no law and order would be the Wild Wild West. Every man for thyself. You look at a dude wrong, you get shot, killed. You step on his shoes, shot, killed. Bump into him, shot and killed. Mess with his girl, shot and killed. Steal from him, shot and killed. That's what no law and order looks like. Most of y'all wouldn't be able to take it. I'd be cool with it because I got a 12-gauge shotgun. And I'd be like, I wish a motherfucker would. But the rest of y'all that ain't got 12-gauge shotguns and you ain't going to go to the grocery store with your shotgun. People, man, criminals will be out there in the grocery store waiting for you to come out your grocery stores and rob your asses all day long. Criminals will have a field day, man, with no law and order. They'll be eating perfectly fine. Criminals be rich as hell, living fine, coming in your house, kick you out, and what you gonna do about it? No law and order. You can't call the cops. You either gotta take your house back or you don't. Y'all ain't ready for that. Y'all ain't ready to, like, that's the thing. Like, no law and order, no cops means we gotta go back to the savage days of you better just be able to protect yourself or you fucked. Ain't nobody got time to step up to the plate and risk their lives just because you don't know how to protect yourself. That's what no law and order comes down to. We gotta have law and order in this world. You know? Even as a whole, man. You can't just you see what Hitler tried to take over. Motherfuckers started stepping up to the plate like, oh, fuck that. We can't let this happen. If Hitler would have succeeded, this world would have looked a hell of a lot different right now. Hell of a lot different right now. We ain't got to worry about fighting between black and white. There'd be none of us. There'd only be blonde-haired, blue-eyed motherfuckers running around. You see that? That ain't blonde hair. I got blue eyes, but that ain't blonde hair. And Hitler wasn't with no halfway blonde hair, blue eyed motherfuckers. He wasn't with the brown hair, blue eye. It was blonde hair, blue eye. Which was crazy. He was a freaking hypocrite because he had blonde hair, blue eyes his damn self. I don't know. I never understood that view, anyways. That the blonde hair, blue eye white dude was superior, and this jackass wasn't even a freaking blonde hair, blue eye himself. And shit, I got brown hair and blue eyes. You gonna tell me somebody just because I ain't got blonde hair that they're superior to me? Man, get the hell out of here with that bullshit. No can do. No can do. All right, well, we like 41 minutes into this joker. I'm about to get off here real soon. Don't forget the video version of my podcast goes to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, Rumble. Follow us on Rumble. Don't forget this podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz. If you need online marketing promotions for your music, your product, your brand, or your service, please check out promopalace.biz. Also, it's sponsored by New Litter Apparel at newlitter.com. If you're a dog lover like me, you're a cat lover like me, and you like t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts like me with dogs and cats on them, please check out New Litter Apparel at newlitter.com. That's NEWLITTER.com. You see it scrolling down below. And last but not least, for shizzle, do you dizzle? Yes, I dizzle. Check out dizzlebrand.com. Step into the future. Just add ice. Dizzlebrand.com. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and more. And there's a dozen recipes as well. And we got the recipes that we post once a day on Facebook. A new recipe comes out every single day with a new design. So check them out, dizzlebrand.com. And don't forget, the audio version goes to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, TuneIn, Slacker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and much, much more. You could Google the Paul Pickett Podcast. It's PaulPickett. You see the name right above me, Triple P, a.k.a. the Common Sense Podcast, a.k.a. your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and more. Peace, and I'm out.